afternoon, blessed people. Thanks for joining us for the 2 p.m. news on Royal FM 88.4. Brought to you by me, GERMAINE TAH. But first, the main points. The Ministry of Youth Affairs and Civic Education has launched a civic and patriotic campaign so as to enhance youth to be responsible. But just how do citizens distinguish these two notions?
I know that if I find myself in a place where there's no trash can, after eating I simply put my rapun in my bag. That's part of being civil and being patriotic. I love my country, Cameroon, and I'm proud of it.
And after the country, Russian President Vladimir Putin will not attend South Africa BRICS Summit, and in sports events, Williams Jabata will be coming in with our sport package. Those were the headlines. Details in a jiffy. Good afternoon once more. The 19th Conference of Speakers and Presiding Officers of the Commonwealth Africa region entered day 2 today under the theme African Parliament and Agenda 2063. Participants are brainstorming on the need to boost food security, good governance, climate change, and the African Continental Free Trade Area. And during yesterday's opening conference, the Prime Minister, Head of Government Chief Dr. Joseph John Gutte, said Cameroon is actively implementing her second 10 years development strategy, which is outlining to the Agenda 2063 vision. A sensitization campaign dubbed Civic and Patriotic Holidays has been launched by the Ministry of Youth Affairs and Civic Education with the aim of training youth to be engaged and responsible. In line with this, our reporter Crystal Mando questions some Cameroonians to know what is the place of the notions civic and patriotism in their daily life. She compares the views in this report.
Natasha, a student at the University of Yaoundé 1, was on her way to school when she explains what means civics for her.
I tell maybe civility is when maybe you get up in the morning, you greet your parents, you greet your neighbors. Like if you are going out on the road, you see your neighbors or anybody, you greet the person. Don't you talk bad about your country?
Defining these two notions are not enough to build a unified nation. For this reason, the different actions carried out daily should reflect and express civility and patriotism. Linda is a Cameroonian.
I know that if I find myself in a place where there's no trash can, after eating I simply put my rapun or whatever in my bag. That's part of being civil and being patriotic. I love my country, Cameroon, and I'm proud of it. Yeah, talking good about it, but also doing constructive criticism.
Amina, on her side, described what she does as acts of patriotism as a good citizen of her country.
Talking about patriotism, I'm always devoted to anything relating to my country in all aspects. Like maybe, for instance, when hoisting the flag and I'm passing by, I have to stand and I respect the hoisting.
Worth mentioning that promoting civic and patriotic values in Cameroon is one of the objectives of the government for peace and love to reign.
Indeed, Tristan Mando. And as the civic and patriotic campaign is ongoing, report holds that parents in those days used to breast their children in a decent way, which did not expose private parts of their bodies. But nowadays, children dress poorly and so scanty that one is tempted to ask if parents still have interest in checking the way their children dress. Our student intern, our Siri Darin, got the reactions of some parents in the city of Yaoundé and sampled their views in the following report.
It has been noticed that many youths, especially girls in our society, dresses in an indecent manner. But some parents say decency brings a lot of respect.
I want my child to dress very decently because decency brings respect. Decency presents a child in a different way in the community. Otherwise, when your child is even dressed in an indecent way, can be taken, misjudged and taken for maybe a thief out here or whatever.
Very good for our children to dress decently because if they dress tight, they'll be exposed to so many things outside which is not good.
Although some parents takes out time to check their children's outfit, some do not really bother about that.
I don't really pay attention to what my kids put on. Let it be at home or outside or wherever. Because first I'm the one that do the shopping for them. Whereas for me, I don't think that the dressing or the physical appearance reflects who somebody really is. So that just
it is important for parents to check and decide on what their children should wear.
On to this societal news. With the advent of modernization, that is internet, social media, media users tend to publish every single happenings. Most common things published nowadays are videos and images of accident and especially pictures of dead people. According to the posters, it is in order to help find relatives of those involved in accidents and the dead ones. But what do Cameroonians think of this practice? Get some of them speak in this report compiled for us by Fino Crispin.
Most Yaoundé denizens we came across are divided on whether or not it is appropriate for images of accidents and corpses to be published on social media. Mavis and Julie both approve the idea.
Maybe somebody can have an accident somewhere that he cannot get to his family or her family. Maybe he is unconscious, and when the other people post it like that, the family can quickly go to save the life of the person.
They might post a stranger which have a family member somewhere else and don't even know that the other person is actually dead. And through that, they might discover that they actually have a relative that is dead somewhere.
Similarly, Ashley attests such practice is not bad at all.
Everyone is trying to relay information, so citizen journalism has a part to play because you want to be known, you want to make sure people are informed always, so I don't have a problem with that.
However, Glory and Mercy say such sensitive videos and images should remain personal, and when published it may lead to several negative impacts on the viewers.
I do not appreciate such behavior because I think some details are meant to be kept private.
I think it can have an impact on some people because, for example, we have people who are feeble-minded, and when they see such images, they might go into emotional and physical trauma that will disturb them for some months before they recover from it.
Even though publishing images of accidents and other incidents may help families find their loved ones, medics say such sensitive images may traumatize some viewers, reason why it is advised to emphasize on viewer discretion.
Still in line with that story, Fino Crispin Cather with a legal mind in the person of Nelson Lambris, who attests that posting sensitive images on social media is punishable by the law. These include those taking the videos and pictures. Take a listen.
Most Cameroonians are acting out of ignorance, and they do things that they are not supposed to do them. Everybody wants to become a blogger overnight. Everybody wants to be doing a photography journalism. Everybody wants to be a pressman. Everybody wants to be a classical journalist, and they do things that are actually against the law and things that are being punishable by the law. There is an expression in English that ignorance of the law is not an excuse. The penal code of our country actually punishes people who don't assist others that are in difficulties. It is expressed in French, a non-assistant à personne en danger. It is punishable by the Cameroon Penal Code. If you see somebody dying or struggling to survive and you actually watch the person die, the law punishes that. And somebody can sue you, or even the state can take you into custody. And if you have been proven beyond reasonable doubt of having the means to assist that person and you do not, then you will go to jail.
The legal mind Nelson Lambris speaking there to Fino Crispin. Nobody has the right to eliminate the lives of fellow human beings. The call and warning was made by the Archbishop of Bamenda, His Grace Andrew Kea, yesterday in Bamenda, where he described the recent killings of civilians in that part of the country as barbaric, insisting that such acts of terror must not exist in our society where human lives are valued. He spoke to the state media.
The right to life is sacred, and only God can take away human life. We have been preaching this for the past 6 years. Human beings don't have authority to take away the lives of others. And I think this is one of the things that happened in our quarter here in Nacho Junction. People went and took away the lives of others. And as I say, there is no reason that can justify the act. That dialogue we had in 2019 was the beginning of a process of reconciliation, process of further dialogue, a process of trying to see how to get to the bottom of the matters that convened the dialogue in the first place. And I keep saying all the time to any authorities that the dialogue was not an end in itself. And therefore, to stop at that dialogue is not enough. There may be misunderstandings, but for the sake of the people dying in front of my eyes every day, the dialogue must continue.
The president of the National Episcopal Conference, Archbishop Andrew Keir, has called for a continuation of dialogue as a means to put an end to the continuous bloodshed in the conflict-plagued northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon. This call came following the brutal killing of 10 persons in Bamenda last Sunday. Maparazita is our lady on that beat.
The major national dialogue in Cameroon took place between September 30th and October 4th, 2019, and according to the geostrategist Alemkeng Richard, Archbishop Keir is correct in his position for dialogue, as he also thinks the government needs to go back to the drawing board.
I think the national dialogue did not exploit all the angles that could help us put an end to the bloodshed. And of recent, things are actually going offhand. This simply means that the government needs to go back and follow up either the resolutions or consult those who were actually absent in the major national dialogue and develop new approaches.
Worth noting that other men of God had proposed other possible outlets to the crisis, as Alemkeng Richard explains.
The government should move to what I call indigenous solutions. The government should move to the indigenes of the two regions. This is an earlier idea that was suggested by Lecter Natumi, but unfortunately it wasn't followed. In some part of the two regions where the indigenes have taken the bull by the horns, things are moving a little bit. So the Episcopal Conference is very right in that direction.
The geostrategist further stresses that the use of arms has proven not to be the best solution.
The military option is not yielding much fruit. That was very clear. For security to be guaranteed within the region, the indigenes needs to play a very big role, but not the type of role that the government is advocating, that of spying and telling them no. I think the indigenes should organize themselves from the base, constitute their local communities for development and the rest.
And for peace to return, development needs to also be on the rail. This, according to Alemkeng Richard.
What we need now is that developmental projects have to be relaunched in those two regions to permit a return to normalcy. I think the idea that was brought forward by Natumi should come back, and for that reason, there is an agency for AAC4. If the government doesn't want the AAC4, the government should consult the local development communities of indigenes of the two regions, and from there, I think it can be a first way out.
A return to peace and normalcy is the greatest wish of those living in the troubled regions in particular and the nation at large.
Mapalazita in that report. The Prime Minister, Head of Government, Chief Dr. Joseph John Gutte, has called on members of the National Decentralization Board to ensure the effective putting in place and strict follow-up of programming documents in councils and regions. He made the call in Yaoundé as he chaired the first ordinary session of the National Decentralization Board for 2023. The session was based to the seat and effectiveness of programming tools in imposing local development. And still to come in this news edition, the absence of documents such as badge by taxi drivers turned to cause more harm than good in our nation, and how do some members of transport trade unions perceive this non-respect of road measures?
It's a situation that we are really deploring. The problem is that from 2 years now that the decree that install the new configuration of making the badge has been proclaimed by the Prime Minister, nothing is being done by the Minister of Transport.
You are listening to the 2 p.m. News on Real FM 88.4. Administrative authorities and municipal councils of Douala have decided to temporarily suspend road check activities from that part of the country until further notice, following the incident which occurred yesterday between municipal police and a taxi driver who attempted to escape from the checkpoint vigilance and knocked down a bike rider who was carrying a pregnant woman and were later crushed by a truck to death. The decision is partly to the deviant disorder observed at our checkpoints by municipal police. In this light, Eratus Dwe spoke with some taxi drivers in Yaoundé on the good and bad side of this municipal police and now reports.
People are dying and people are suffering. I don't know where this country is going to. I don't even know whether the governors or the GOs or the administration are only issue in this our country. I am really shocked.
Undertaking taxi driving as a profession for over 30 years now, Dennis, a father of 7 children, cannot hold himself but decry the torture they have been going through on the hands of those operating under the extreme valor of municipal police in the hearts and crannies of Yaoundé.
It's very rampant in our towns like Yaoundé. We see that every day and every minute by people fighting with these municipal workers.
Those are things that they keep inside the quarter and they move them alongside of the road and they are defecting the population for some no good reason.
Operating with less professionalism and with the sole aim of extorting money from these drivers who are out to fend for themselves and families, Dennis narrates his experience.
One guy collapsed because of those municipal police. They were there struggling to even bring that guy up. I cannot see a driver lying on the ground and you're telling me that nothing is happening. I came towards that driver. They told me that those guys stopped this driver and asked this driver 500,000 francs. Is that not me? Where can a driver have 500,000 francs at 9 a.m. in the morning and give to you people? Is that not corruption?
Corruption being one of the elements that the government of Cameroon through CONAC have been battling with day in and out. Smith Thano, another driver, says this municipal police should go in for more proper training before taking in active functions.
I think the government should really do something as far as this aspect is concerned, because these people, if they had a professional training, they wouldn't have been behaving the way they are doing. Sometimes they are not even identified. They hide, and when they see the bike coming, they just come out of their hiding place and drag the bike without even thinking that the bike is carrying somebody. They don't care. All what they want is what they need from the bike man. So with immediate effect, I just think that these people should be withdrawn from the road and given a proper training.
As the population of Cameroon continues to live in uncertainty, they yearns for the government to look into their plight.
Eratus doing that report, and to understand why taxi drivers turn to ply the road without all their documents or badges, the Secretary General of Transporters Trade Union, Noir Jean-Paul, says,
It's a situation that we are really deploring because badges are a product of driver trade unionists. But this other war was going on. The driver asked the government to make a reform. When the government decided to make the reform, they decided to make the reform and took the badge and give it to the Minister of Transport now. It's the Minister of Transport that will deliver the badge. The problem is that from 2 years now that the decree that install the new configuration of making the badge has been proclaimed by the Prime Minister, nothing is being done by the Minister of Transport. The real consequence now is that people are being aggressed, women are being raped in taxis. This is a very deplorable situation, and we think that people don't help the health of state because we don't know this insecurity in taxi, it benefits to who? Because the government policy is that to protect the citizens and their good. When a government do not protect the citizens and its good, you know that this government have failed.
And knowing that the lack of badges by these road users can lead to devastating effects, the Secretary General of Transporters Trade Union, Noir Jean-Paul, outlines some way forward.
We cannot remain at this situation because I am not a president of a trade unionist of drivers. I know their problem. The problem is that the Minister of Transport is the person that the last word. He told us the last time with the Minister of Territorial Administration, Mr. Tangaji, that they do everything so that the bus will start. But when we see nothing is being taken at this, so that these badges to come again, because every day trade union is crying that the situation security is becoming more and more dangerous. Nobody is understanding that the government have locked his ears. They are not understanding that the population is in danger, and we are asking that is this security is benefiting some people that they want to say that Cameroon is an insecure country. I don't think that Cameroon is an insecure country. We live in peace. And this peace, taxi driver, taxi vehicle as the first image of a country when you reach in that country. With the situation now in the world, when you even now Google, you see that they will tell you that Cameroon, danger, take a taxi. Now, I think that this opportunity you are giving me is to alarm the population that the Minister of Transport to make everything that badges will start before the end of the year.
Onto economy, a recent report from the African Development Bank presents a downfall on the economic growth of some countries within the Central African regions, which are linked to the economic deficit affecting the world. But according to the report, Cameroon can be spared from this economic slip if it embarks on the exploitation of its raw resources. But how helpful would it be when the government has put in place import substitution to encourage Cameroonians to transform their raw resources in order to boost our economy. Chene Constantine is an economist.
The African Development Bank has published a rather bleak picture of the economic growth rate of the CEMAC member countries for the year ahead. In fact, CEMAC is the Central African Economic and Monetary Community that has Chad, the Central African Republic, Cameroon, Republic of Congo, Republic of Gabon, and Equatorial Guinea. Cameroon is expected to grow at 4.2% next year, whereas we're expecting an economic decline for a country like the Central African Republic. According to the African Development Bank, they believe that Cameroon will grow because of our raw materials, if well harnessed and exported. We're looking principally at petrol, and we also have non-oil resources from cocoa, from timber, from coffee, from bananas, from the exploitation of market gardening products. But the government herself is in the way of promoting import substitution industries, because import substitution simply means that we have to add value to imports. Do not export your raw materials in their state, but rather transform them into semi-finished and finished products. For example, you can change your cocoa into chocolates. You can change your timber into wood, into chairs, into other type of furniture. You can change your cotton into dresses. It is rather paradoxical because the African Development Bank is expecting that Cameroon will grow because of our oil and non-oil resources, whereas the government wants import substitution. However, we know that they will still continue in the short term to export these raw materials because it takes some time to bring in technology and to bring in the necessary finances and the necessary manpower to transform all these resources into finished products. All in all, it's still good news for Cameroon because the economy of Cameroon is expected to grow as much as 4.2% next year.
Open markets have become popular in our nation as there are no regulatory barriers such as licenses, and this gives room to buyers and sellers to trade freely without any restrictions. Despite the fact that supermarkets exist and are well preserved, but people are still crowded in open markets. And to find out why do people congest open markets, our student journalist Bate Bridget when finding a now report.
It is the amount of products sold in open markets that push people to go for it, as some say it is cheap.
Most of the time I buy it in the open market, yes, because it's cheaper. It's very cheap, and I think there you can go and bargain. So it's very better than buying in the supermarket where the price already fixed.
Also, some say open market gives open hands to everyone as prices are not fixed but varies depending on the buyer.
And there in the market, there is price for everybody. Whether you are middle class, whether you are what, you can find your own there. So I prefer the market.
While other things of the quantity of product in the open market, some says their health matters since open market goods are exposed.
In an open market, you can see product being exposed to sunlight, flies, which infect the good when consumed by human being, may cause a normal health problem.
It should be noted that whether open market or supermarket, it is still the same product.
Out of the country, the South African government has announced that Russian President Vladimir Putin will not attend the BRICS summit that is slated for August. The Russian Federation will be represented by Foreign Minister Mr. Sergei Lavrov, with recalling that an arrest warrant has been issued against President Vladimir Putin by the International Criminal Court for alleged war crimes in Ukraine, and as South Africa is an ICC signatory, so will be obliged to arrest him if he goes there. But South Africa are Russia members of the BRICS organization. In more foreign news, Kenyan authorities have deployed security officers in key towns amid a resumption of cost of living protests organized by the opposition. Kenya has therefore closed schools in the country's two main cities as a 3-day opposition protest kicked off with demonstrators confronting police. Let us now talk sports with Evans Williams Ubati, who provides our sport package today. Hello, Evans.
Good afternoon, GERMAINE TAH.
Two of the world's strongest wrestlers will compete for the World Wrestling title at the Multipurpose Sport Complex this Saturday here in Yaoundé.
America's heavyweight champion, the Golden Boy from Florida, is expected on Cameroon grounds in the hours ahead to compete in the World Championship to take place at the Multipurpose Sports Complex on July 22, 2023. The Golden Boy will face the Cameroonian heavyweight wrestler Taizo Allen, also known as The Animal, in the ultimate fight for the World Championship belt. Here now is the message of the Golden Boy to The Animal over statement.
The Golden Boy is going to tap out The Animal in 1, 2, 3. Be afraid. Be very afraid, Animal. If you're a Cameroonian who wants to see the best of the best, pro wrestling at its finest, come out July the 22nd and just know we'll lay it all on the line. The Golden Boy is storming Cameroon this week. Be ready.
We equally caught up with The Animal, and this is what he had to say about the confrontation.
I am ready. I train every day for this fight. This Golden Boy is come in Cameroon to fight. I call all my family, everybody, to come see me beat the Golden Boy. I will kill him because I train too much. He will never kill me. I am waiting for him in Cameroon. Come, I fight there. I will kill him here. I will kill him. This is my jungle. I am the king, the best in Africa, The Animal.
In football, you say Andre Onana is set to leave for the English Premier League, Evans.
It has been confirmed goalkeeper Andre Onana will be wearing the Red Devils jersey next season in the English Premier League. Manchester United signed the Cameroonian from Italian Serie A top flight team Inter Milan for a sum of 500 million euros. Our student intern Ebanda Leon spoke with some Cameroonians to know if the transfer was a good one for the goalkeeper at this point in time, and now presents this report.
Shekina, who have been following all of Andre Onana matches, is happy to see her idol undertake another challenge. As to her, he will increase his performance.
The transfer of Andre Onana to Manchester United is a good thing because, first of all, the best player goalkeeper of the moment, and going to Serie A will increase his performance and skills. His transfer there will bring the club at the top Serie A and bring Cameroonians up.
As for Igris, Onana took a very good decision moving on to the English Premier League.
The transfer of Andre Onana from Inter Milan to Manchester United, as for me, it's a big transfer because Andre Onana is one of the best goalkeepers in the world actually. So I think he's going from a lower competition to another greater one, because I think the Premier League is more greater than the Calcio. So I think Andre Onana has made a very big choice, and I think he's just going according to his talent. So the guy deserves to play a very big competition.
Meanwhile, Jean on his part is very surprised with the Cameroonian star move, but nevertheless invite everyone to support his decision.
Onana to Manchester United came as a big surprise to many Cameroonians, but I think it's a good decision to make, because I think while at Manchester United he is going to perform well, as he has always performed great, and Cameroonians will just have to support him as our brother who has made another step to play in a big league.
As such, some Cameroonian football lovers we came across a glad that the Cameroonian brothers is hitting the Europe grand stage once more.
And just to add that the National Interpols have entered Day 3 in Group A with Sosa, who are currently clashing with Sporting of Mara. Later on, Union Sportive of Abomba will play against Academy Nyom 2 at 3 p.m. Let's now have the news summary in the French language with Olivier Ndemaipo. Good afternoon, Olivier.
Good afternoon, GERMAINE TAH. Crise dans les régions anglophones du pays, le président de la conférence épiscopale du Cameroun, Monseigneur Andrew Nkeya, condamne l'attentat terroriste dimanche dernier à Bamenda. Monseigneur Andrew Nkeya appelle à la fin des assassinats et préconise un recours à Dieu pour le retour de la paix dans cette partie du pays. En rappel, le dit attentat avait causé une dizaine de morts ainsi que des blessés. Dans la ville de Douala, l'autorité municipale a décidé hier, 18 juillet, de la suspension à titre conservatoire des contrôles routiers. La décision survient au lendemain d'un accident de la circulation qui a coûté la vie à une femme enceinte précédemment à bord d'une moto ainsi qu'au conducteur de l'engin. Le conducteur, qui voulait éviter le contrôle d'agents municipaux, s'est fait heurter par une automobile.
Hors de nos frontières, Vladimir Poutine, président de la Fédération de Russie, ne prendra finalement pas part au 15e sommet des BRICS en République sud-africaine. Le président Cyril Ramaphosa de la République sud-africaine en a fait l'annonce ce jour. Vladimir Poutine fait l'objet d'un mandat d'arrêt international émis par la Cour pénale internationale, la CPI. L'Afrique du Sud étant un membre de la CPI, Vladimir Poutine devrait être mis aux arrêts dès son arrivée en Afrique du Sud. En sport, la ville de Yaoundé va abriter samedi prochain le championnat du monde de catch catégorie super lourd. L'Américain Tim McDowell remet sa ceinture mondiale en jeu. Son adversaire est le Camerounais Alain Tazo, dit l'animal, champion d'Afrique de la catégorie. Le Cameroun a la possibilité de remporter une autre ceinture mondiale de catch après celle remportée il y a quelques mois au Texas par Alain Oudem, dit The Wolf. C'était dans la catégorie lourd léger.
And that news summary draws the curtain of our 2 p.m. news on 88.4 Real FM, which came was a sound technician, video editor Jean-Marie Otto, producer Frédéric Crispin, editorial coaching Abel Balasamari, coordination Jean-Patient Tala, general supervision Reverend Pastor Bisai Emmanuel, news editing and presentation. My name is GERMAINE TAH. Up next is Sport Hour. Good afternoon, Abel.
Yeah, good afternoon to you, Germaine. In Sports Hour, for the next 2 hours, we are going to be talking football. Football with the national interpost with the 3 matches that are going on at the Yaoundé next stadium. We are going to be having some live reports and ambience of what is happening there. We are going to